All right, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So this story takes place after my grade 12 year of high school. I remember I was jobless and I needed to find a job, so I decided to work at a restaurant. Now, the thing is, the reason I chose a restaurant and not retail is because, one, I really like food. Food is really good, and honestly, I just love eating. And second thing is that, as well as, there's a lot of hot waitresses in the food industry. Hence why I have a lot of Devil's Tango after high school, because, you know, I still needed to find a way to find chicks. Anyways, going on with the story, I remember I ended up handing my application out to a bunch of different restaurants, and I ended up getting into one that was kind of like a pizza parlor. Remember when I went in there, I ended up getting an interview right on the spot. I literally handed my resume, and they're like, you know what? We'll interview you right now. So I ended up getting interviewed, and instantly, right on the spot, I got hired. I was set to work 2 days later, and I was pretty happy. Knowing I got a job that quickly, it's good, and at the same time, kind of concerning, because why would they hire me so quick? You know, it is what it is. So I remember I ended up going for the job the next 2 days afterwards. And when I went in, I remember I basically walked in with normal clothing, and I instantly got greeted by a host. She told me, "Oh, are you like the new cook that's working here?" I ended up saying, "Oh yeah, you know, just chilling, working." And she's like, "All right, well, here, let me take you to the back." So she ends up taking me to the back of the restaurant, and when I got there, I remember I ended up seeing everyone. And as I was looking around, I realized that there was a lot of guys in the kitchen, but there was one girl. And this girl, she looked fantastic. Like, she looked really, really good. So I remember I kind of walked up to her, and I'm like, "Hey, like, I'm new here. Who's the manager back here?" Or like the head chef at least. And then she says, "Oh, that would be me. Hi, welcome to the kitchen. Let me show you around." So, you know, she does like the whole orientation thing where she shows me around and stuff. But the whole time when she was doing it, she kept staring at me as if I had something in my teeth. I don't know. It was super awkward half of the time. And the more she looked at me, the more I was kind of just weirded out by what she was looking at. I kept asking her midway through, like, "Hey, like, is everything all right? Like, you seem kind of off." And she kept saying the same thing. "Oh no, everything's fine. You're cute. That's all." Okay, thanks. And going on, she just kept saying the same thing over and over. Honestly, I don't know. She was just being weird, and something felt off about her, but I didn't realize anything till later on. For the first couple of weeks, she always made me do dishwashing and basically cleaning all the dishes, which, don't get me wrong, it sucked, but at the same time, she said that she enjoyed seeing me wet, which, I mean, fair enough, I guess. And then, as well as sometimes in awkward moments, she would decide to pull me into the kitchen and get me to help her out on her station specifically. Like, for example, if someone else needed help on the line, where basically, like, you know, when people like cook things, it's usually on the line. Like, there's prep, there's appetizers, there's, you know, like full-on cooking and stuff like that. I don't know. There's a bunch of different stations. She would always get me to work on her station. She would not want me on anyone else's station. She kept asking me, "Hey, like, I need your help. Can you come here real quick?" And she would always want me right beside her. At this point, it felt off. And I remember one day after work, when I was leaving and got to my car, one of the cooks ended up looking at me saying, "Hey, yeah, so listen, before you leave, I just want to mention, like, I think our, like, manager really likes you or something. Because, like, she would never, like, help us out or, like, never call us to help her out. But for some reason, she asks you to help out. I don't know why that is, but just, like, keep a lookout, man. That's all." I was weirded out. I didn't know what to say to him, so I was like, "Oh, you know, I'm new here. Maybe she's just being easy on me." And I ended up getting in my car and driving away. When I drove away, though, and I was driving home, I remember I was just questioning everything. I didn't understand what was going on. And then I remember as I was driving as well, I looked at my rearview mirror and I see that she was following me. My manager was following me home even though her shift wasn't over yet. I remember I ended up getting home, and when I did, I parked my car in my driveway, and she went past my house and did a loop around the cul-de-sac and ended up leaving back for the restaurant. I remember I really wanted to confirm it was her because I didn't believe it. So I remember I called the restaurant as if I forgot something. And then I ended up saying, "Hey, like, is the kitchen manager back there? Like, can I, like, talk to her real quick?" And the host literally said, "Oh, like, apparently she's, like, out for, like, a quick errand. I don't know when she'll be back, but I'll tell you when." Okay, is what I said afterwards, and I hung up the phone. At this point, I knew it was her, and I was freaked out because I didn't know what to think. But then the story gets even more weird. I remember the next day, I ended up getting my kitchen stuff, and I ended up getting ready, and I ended up putting on my uniform and driving to the restaurant. When I got there, I parked my Toyota Celica GT, and then after that, I went inside the restaurant. When I went in there, I saw that the schedules have changed. I looked at the schedule, and I saw that she moved me and the kitchen manager, which was her, to work the morning shift. And usually in the morning shift in kitchens, by the way, no one's there. This is like the prep time where, you know, cooks, they usually prep like the restaurant stuff to make sure they have everything for dinner service. Yeah, she had literally only me and her scheduled. So at this point, I remember I was like, great, I have to wake up in the morning. And I was kind of annoyed. Then another cook walks up behind me, taps me on the shoulder and says, "Oh, what do you know? You ended up taking my shift in the mornings. Great. Now I have to work night shifts. Thanks a lot, bozo." And ended up walking away. I literally didn't know how this was my fault. I was so confused, and I'm like, dude, like, I didn't schedule this. This wasn't even me. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Well, I guess it's because you're the new favorite, so enjoy it while you can. I remember I asked him, wait, new favorite? favorite? He looks at me. He's like, yeah, the last guy that worked here that was, you know, getting treatment like you are, basically ended up quitting because apparently he didn't like it here and that there was like some like harassment involved. I have no idea, man. But like, you know, take the morning shift. I really don't care. I like eating at night anyways. I was really confused. And honestly, I was weirded out. But I went on through dinner service and I ended up hanging out there and I ended up working and my manager was there, but she kept eyeing me down the whole entire time when I was doing dishes. As I was doing dishes though, I remember one time she walked up to me and said, hey, so like, I'll see you tomorrow, okay? In the morning. Get your game face on. Okay, is what I told her afterwards. And I just ended up finishing my shift. I remember that night I ended up going to bed and the next morning I woke up and I was not excited for my shift. I woke up at 6 a.m. just to really go into a kitchen and start prepping food that I'm not even gonna eat. But anyways, I ended up basically getting dressed and all ready and I ended up going to the restaurant. And when I did, I entered from the back because the restaurant wasn't even open yet. And I started basically prepping food. I got there early and I basically started doing my job anyway because I wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. Anyways, the manager, or the girl chef, I should say, ended up walking in and basically she saw me prepping. She's like, oh, so you got here early? And I'm like, well, yeah, you said get your game face on, so I am. And she ends up telling me, oh, that's not what I meant, silly. I ended up looking at her confused. And afterwards, I remember as I'm prepping this thing on like the counter, she ends up kind of slowly dragging her hand down the counter with her whole body coming up towards me saying, I know you've been looking at me. What? Am I in trouble? Is what I told her. And she said, no, not at all. Just, I'm just wondering like what you up to nowadays. And I'm like, oh, you know, working hard. Simple as that, you know. And she's like, got any stress on your shoulders? And she's like, you know, massaging my shoulders. And I remember I felt so uncomfortable and I'm like, listen, like, what's your issue? Like, are you good? Like, people are saying you're giving me special treatment, but like, I don't know. Like, are you okay? And she's like, oh, so you want special treatment? She ends up, and I'm not joking when I say this, she ends up going to the back and like the back is where we usually get changed and stuff for the kitchen. And she ends up coming out with only a robe on. She literally only had a robe on and she came up to me. She's like, let's have some fun. And me and her, we ended up getting close. We made out and yes, we ended up doing the devil's tango. It was super awkward and super weird. And honestly, I didn't think this was the smartest thing for me to be doing, but we did it anyways. And then afterwards, I remember we ended up finishing prep and everything. And then afterwards, basically I clocked out for my shift. When I clocked out, I remember she was right behind me because she was also done her shift apparently because she wasn't staying for the night since she was here in the morning. And she looked at me and she says, so Bubba, like, I was just wondering like what you're doing for the rest of the day. I told her that I was going home and she said, oh, like, where do you live? Like, do you live in like the new apartments? And I told her, no, I live with my parents. She looks at me kind of odd and she's like, well, like, aren't you like 24? What? No, I'm not 24. I'm only 18. When she heard me say that, she freaked out. She's like, wait, you're 18? And I'm like, yeah. And then she's like, you have that big of an eggplant? Yeah, is what I told her. I didn't know what else to explain to her. She was just being weird. And then she's like, okay, well, like, I'm 25. You know that, right? Yeah, I'm cool with it, is what I said. And I ended up basically just clocking out, leaving the store, and instantly got in my car and drove away. I didn't end up quitting my job. I'm not gonna lie. She was good at what she did. And then I remember the next day, things got awkward because we always had every morning together. So we kept doing the devil's tango every single morning until one day we both got called in by head office and we both got fired because, yeah, apparently you're not allowed to do the devil's tango in the kitchen. Who knew? Anyways, guys, that's basically it for today's story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like I always say, if all for more embarrassing stories, peace out, guys.